In today's video, I'll give you my top 5 equipment tips and must-haves for indoor cycling. Things that I've used for years and years and years to make my time, over many hundreds of hours indoors, more enjoyable and more time efficient. If you've ridden indoors a lot in the past, you may know a few of these. If you're new to indoor cycling, these may all be new, but they're very important tips to follow. Before getting into the top 5 tips, today's video is sponsored by Shokz, formerly known as Aftershokz. They make open-ear bone conduction headphones, which are perfect for both indoor and outdoor use. I'll have more on these OpenRun Pro headphones a little later in the video. But for now, let's get into the tips. Starting off with the number 1 tip. Yes, I'll start with number 1 rather than number 5, and that is cooling. Indoors, cooling the room that you're in, and most importantly, cooling yourself is super important. Outdoors, you want to get away from the wind. Wind will slow you down. Indoors, you want as much wind on your body as possible. Without it, you will slow down. Your performance will decrease. What I use here in the Llama Lab, I have a kicker headwind in front of me, which gives a nice, straight, streamlined blast of air, continual blast of air. But not only that, off to the side, I also have other fans to make sure I get maximum coverage, maximum surface area from those fans. Without those on, I overheat, feel bad, I sweat a lot, I just can't hit the power numbers that I need. Now, any fan is better than no fan whatsoever, but if you're after what kind of fan works best, I find these directional fans. And I have one here, Vornado. Very small little fan, a bit like a jet engine, but these little beasts here will blast out a good direction of air, so you can point them at either your torso, your face, whatever you need to cool down and give you maximum coverage. I'll usually run 2 or 3 fans indoors, and they are definitely a must-have. In regard to the room, always open a window, open a door, and do something with that airflow. Here in the Llama Lab, I can, I've got a little temperature gauge here on the desk, which I'll show you in a moment. I can increase the temperature of just this room myself. It's a medium-sized room by about 2 or 3 degrees Celsius, and things get really humid. Again, the performance drops if that takes place. So cooling indoors, number 1 tip. On to tip number 2, and you can see right beside me here, a desk, and behind me here, another desk. And it's important to have everything in reach. If you've only got 45 minutes indoors, you don't want to spend 5 or 10 minutes getting on and off your bike and walking around on the hardwood floor with your cleats. You want to have everything right there ready to go. So beside me here, I have a kicker desk, which has been completely modified. I have power, I have USB power, remote holders, an extra hook here for heart rate straps or towels, keyboard, you name it, extra drink bottle holders. That's all that's in front of me here. And a desk like this with the open space in front allows me to put any bike in front here with the front wheel and just have enough airflow coming through onto my body. Behind me here, I have a KOM cycling desk. So I've got access to my snacks, more drinks, and most importantly, a towel. You don't want to drop anything either. So having things right next to you that's not going to drop on the floor, and you don't want to get off your bike and back on. Halfway through an erg workout, you're going to get the spiral of death, you do that erg easy, it's just a nightmare. Have everything in reach and you are good to go. Efficient use of time is what it's all about. I've seen people use creative ways to mount things or access things beside them. Jack Haig, I believe, uses a ironing board there. A pro cyclist using whatever he needs to get the job done. So having everything within reach, tip number 2. On to tip number 3, music. Tunes. You've got to have things pumping to get through those hard workouts. FTP tests, other erg workouts, they can be draining mentally. But if you've got some tunes that you love to really get motivated by, crank them up on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube playlists is what I use here. But a lot of the time, your neighbors don't want to hear those pumping tunes either. And here's where headphones come in very handy indoors. Over the years, I've used over-ear headphones with noise cancelling. I've used in-ear headphones. But after using the OpenRun from Shokz a few weeks back, I went out and picked up a set of OpenRun Pro, the premium version of their bone conduction headphones. Indoors, I had no problems whatsoever hearing the tunes and also keeping cool. Now, the interesting thing about the OpenRun Pro is they have their own app for a few more configuration options, and those using Apple TV will be pleased to know that because these pair via Bluetooth Classic, they do not take up those limited connection slots for your power meters, heart rate monitors, or smart trainers indoors. So you can pair these headphones to your Apple TV, and you still have those 2 Bluetooth connection slots free for your indoor cycling apps.
For viewers in the US, between November 21st and 27th, 2022, Shokz has a VIP sale and is offering a $40 discount for anybody ordering the OpenRun, OpenRun Mini, OpenRun Pro, or OpenRun Pro Mini using the link and the code in the video description below. So if you're looking at picking a set of these up, that will save you a few dollars. And I'd like to thank Shokz for sponsoring this video.
On to tip number 4, and it's time to get nerdy on the GPLama channel with some Wi-Fi connected smart plugs. The ones I use here are supported by Apple, Android, and anything else that are voice controlled or app controlled. Now, these are absolutely brilliant. Again, it's about being on the bike and not off the bike. I use smart plugs to turn fans on or off, or even a smart fan. But these little things, they're pretty cheap, and you can automate a lot of stuff, even from turning your bike or your trainer on, to the lights, to even your screens. You can also have a lot of fun with these too. Hey Siri, crosswind. Hey Siri, no crosswind. Okay. And once these things are set up, the sky's the limit for creativity. You could use maybe an NFC tag to tap your phone on your desk or the door as you walk in to turn everything on. Maybe even have a motion sensor right next there so you can just wave your hand there and other fans turn on. These are pretty cool, and again, it's about being on the bike, not off the bike, to turn things on and off. I'll dig a lot more into these in other videos coming up soon. And finally today, tip number 5, not so much a must-have, but it's a must-do. And it's about doing maintenance on your bike. When you sweat, sweat is corrosive. It will destroy anything given enough time. So indoors, you'll be dripping away, sweating away, hopefully not too much if you've got your fans sorted, but it's no good for this equipment. So have a maintenance plan for the equipment that you're using. Be that a smart trainer, a smart bike, wheel on, wheel off, anything. Those trainers go through a lot, especially with a human on top, pedaling away at many, many hundreds of watts. They really don't have an easy life, so do treat them well and they'll last a lot longer. If you're using a smart bike or a smart trainer that you had to assemble out of the box, which is pretty much every one of them, make a habit of checking the bolts and the screws on those on a regular basis. Maybe every few weeks during the indoor season, maybe every few months during the summer season. Those things will work loose. If you keep them in top working order, they'll last a lot longer. So have a maintenance plan. All right, so there we are today, my top 5 indoor tips, regardless of what software you use, what bike you use. Just make sure you set up your environment optimally and you'll have a much better time indoors, and you'll most likely get through that next workout, especially if the tunes are loud. All right, thanks for watching and we'll see you soon.